What's up, good people? It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house. One more again. Been away from a couple of weeks. Gonna get some things. Gonna do some things different on my YouTube channel. And, we're gonna do. But I couldn't let this go by with the draft. We rolling with this right here. Draft day yesterday, day one, and some of my observations. Go ahead and hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Let's just talk with just a little short video. NFL draft, Las Vegas, Nevada. A lot of players in this draft, not a lot of buzz, not a lot of front end talent. Cowboys is thinking about drafting, pulling, moving up, but it's really not the draft for that. It's either you should stay put or you should draft or you should move back. So because there's a lot of value in the second and third round, but really nothing jumped out. Trayvon Walker goes number one to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kind of that's been a buzz all week. It might be him or Aiden Hutchinson. I would have went with Hutchinson if it was between the two. Technically, I would have went with I would have went with my boy Evan Neal from Bama. But that's just how I roll. But I see because you want to keep your quarterback upright. But they went with Trayvon Walker, really, with all of the talent they had on that defense and everybody kind of like one-on-one. He had like 3-4 sacks, maybe 9 sacks in 3 years. And he's a edge. So I don't know, man. And they went Aiden Hutchinson number 2 to the Detroit Lions, which that's good because it's Michigan dude. So that's pretty good. But what I didn't come away from that with a lot of teams is looking at trying to take a chance, man. Hey, let's take some chances. Let's put ourselves in position to win. That's what I thought we should have been doing. So anyway, nothing really surprised me other than what we did. There was a reach, I think, by the Patriots late in the draft on a defensive lineman, I think, from Tennessee, Chattanooga. I think that was sort of a reach. That was kind of a reach, I think, at like number 28, if I'm not mistaken, 26, 28. And so, yeah, that was sort of a reach, in my opinion. But let's just get on into this thing. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I think it was Cole Strange. No, excuse me, he was a guard. Cole Strange. That's the guy that was sort of a reach. But anyway, let's just get into it. Anyway, as it relates to the Cowboys, y'all didn't come here and talk about the other NFL. You're talking about the Cowboys. We're going to talk about this. Look, man, I don't know what to think, man. Look. I've listened to Mark Holmes. I don't listen to my man, Mr. Rome. Shout out to Mr. Rome, Cowboy Fan Talk. He had his live stream on last night in his reaction. And me and I are kind of lockstep in what we're thinking about as far as this about what we're doing. And I'm trying to figure out, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. And the off season for so far been blah. Been okay. One of the best free agent markets in recent memory. Look, dude, I go back in football to like 77. So I done seen a lot of things. There was no free agency back then, but since like 94, 93, 94, when free agency came in, this is about the best free agent crop of talent. And yeah, you know what? We're good. Go ahead, we pass. It's almost like you playing a card game. You got a couple of 5 of clubs and a 5 of hearts and a 7 of diamonds. You want to hit? Nah, we'll pass. The next card might be a big joker or nah, we're good. We'll pass. Okay. So you passed on Von Miller, passed on Zadarius Smith, passed on Bobby Wags, Chandler Jones, passed on all of them, whatever. So I say, what? We make our money in the draft. Okay. All right, then. That draft. Here comes the draft. Let's see what we're working with. And we see all these guys go. We see big wide receiver draft, some good offensive linemen in the draft, things that we need, some edge rushers, which we need. This draft is full of those things, from Aiden Hutchinson all the way down to Jermaine Johnson. Full of them. Trayvon Walker is full of edge rushers, okay? Kafelikis, I think that's how his name's pronounced, from Purdue. Full of them. All right. So we get down to our pick, and free agency, we didn't do nothing. So I'm like, okay, I like Tyler Lindenbaum for center. Okay, dang, we didn't get Kenyon Green. That's the dude I really wanted. A guard from Texas A&M. Nah, he went to the Texans. A few picks up. Okay, fine. So we get to our draft, and we go with Tyler Smith, tackle from Tulsa. And I'm like, you did what to did who to which to did you did which to do what? So I started thinking about this thing, and I'm like, they taking us for granted. And I'm gonna go back a little bit here, and I'm gonna sum this up here in a little bit. But when I was in college, I did some research papers and stuff. And I don't know if it was in my international business class or my human resource management course. I can't think what it was when I was in school. We're talking about 15, 20 years ago. Okay? I went back to school late. So we're talking about in the early to mid 2000s. So we're talking about 15, so 20 years ago. So whatever. So it was a certain retailer, I'm not going to put their name out there, that I did some analysis and research on, and I noticed how they were so big. They were a big time retailer, and their like profit margin and profits and revenue was like bigger than all but 6 countries. That's how big they were. So I started doing the analysis on them, looking at how they treated their employees and all these sorts of things. You start noticing, like, wow, as much money as they generate, and then their CEO at the time was making, I think, $30 million, which, like I said, we're talking about 2005 or whatever. It was a long time ago. We're talking about, 17, 18 years ago. And 80% of the workforce was on federal assistance from either getting Medicaid or getting something. Either they weren't getting a living wage, or they weren't getting, enough, their finance, their medical stuff was having to be taken care of by like Medicaid. They had to enroll in that. And I know people do things in their life and put themselves in certain times of positions or something, but not 80% of them. So I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then you hear some of the employees, you can't believe everybody, but saying like, well, they're trying to get you off the clock before you hit 32 hours because they have to give you benefits then. So they scamming folks to keep them giving them benefits. That's not sounding like a company that's worth, I don't know how many $1 billion, that's bigger than the gross national product of all of every country except 6. So we see a pattern here of you have a whole bunch, but you're doing a whole little. Okay. So that means, are we taking it? Then how they treat the paying customer, you think, well, they're really innovative in how they treat and groundbreaking how they treat their customers. You go into the places in the stores, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, but they start having a whole bunch of automated cashiers and stuff like that, which takes out the human element. That's a job that they don't have. So you eliminating jobs, and then you penny pinching the employees and that, but you're worth all this big stack of money. So I start thinking about, that's the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. All this money, and then the arrogance of an organization. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go is, number one, how they treat their people. What I mean, their employees, the people that they depend on to do the work to generate their money, and the respect and the indifference that they show the paying customers or the clientele, which is how they make their money, who pays the dollar to make them make their money. So we get this guy. We didn't do nothing in free agency. We get this guy, Tyler Smith, and I did some research on him, and I shout out to my man, Mr. Rome, and I did some research on my own. He committed a total of 12 penalties this year in college. Now, Tulsa is part of the American Athletic Conference, the same conference as Cincinnati, Houston, and some other teams. So, I mean, they play a couple of big-time teams. They play Oklahoma State, and I'm sure they play Cincinnati. Maybe, you don't play every team in your conference and stuff like that. But my man, Mr. Rome, made a good point. I give credit when people give points to give you something to think about. Dude, if you play in second level competition, because this ain't the SEC, okay? This is the AAC. dude, if you having to resort to holding and pulling face masks and stuff like that against the level of competition just in that conference, what do you think you're going to do when you have to step up in competition? Okay. Because, and maybe we taking it for granted. We just going to win the NFC East. But last time I checked, the New York Football Giants made some moves. The Philadelphia Eagles made some moves. And, the Washington, Commanders, doing what they do. Tyler Smith, if you having a hard time, and I looked at some video from my man, Vosh Lombardi. Shout out to Vosh Lombardi from the Volume podcast. And I saw some film. Yeah, he had some atrocious holding calls. But when he's engaged, he can actually block. He's a good block. He can block. Okay. But 12 penalties. So I'm thinking about myself. Now, he's playing against guys at his level, at the Tulsa level, and he's having to resort to holding. The most holding calls in FCS, okay? Most penalties in FCS. This guy. And we just got rid of Connor Williams. Why did we get rid of him? Because he got too many holding calls. I think he had 13, okay? What are we doing? Okay? You do know the Giants just picked up Kayvon Thibodeau, right? Okay, you having a hold against these guys that you having to block against at that level, you have to block Kayvon Thibodeau and the other guys that the Giants have. You do know that the Philadelphia Eagles just picked up Jordan Davis to go along with Fletcher Cox, Hargraves. You do know that's who you're going to have to block. And you got to hold against this level of competition. What are you going to do against it? And you do know when you play the Commanders, you got to block, I don't know, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, you got to block those dudes. What are we doing here? And, so that's the thing I'm looking at. And the arrogance. I sit there and watch them in the draft room, Jerry, Stephen, and Mike McCarthy sitting there with them smug looks on their face. And I'm sitting there like they're the smartest dudes in the room. And I'm like, dude, yeah, we did. No, y'all didn't do no research. You know who the research was done by? Will McClay. Him and his staff crunched all the numbers, watched all the film, and came up with the analysis and handed you a sheet. That's what they did. And you sit there, we thought we look at our draft sheet. I'm like, and Stephen looked at his dad like, Dad, if you don't put that daggone sheet down, because he know, like, dude, you're not looking good with the arrogance. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. And so you pick this, and you could have had Tyler Linderbaum. Baltimore Ravens came right behind him. You need a center, because last time I saw Ty DeBiatis getting run over every play. Yeah, you got to block Jordan Davis too. We're going to see how that work out. And so Jermaine Johnson, pass rushing edge from Florida State, from the draft. Kafalkis from Purdue, still on the board. Okay, there's receivers on the board. Watson is still on the board. There's players still on. You chose this dude. Okay, don't know what y'all doing. Maybe it seems like me, y'all just mailing the stuff in. So just how they looked in the draft room. So, and I'll leave you with this, and we're gonna sign off. The arrogancy of an organization looks at number one, how you treat the people that you work with. And I saw how the biggest free agent thing they signed was Dante Fowler for like 1 year, $3 million, or 2 years, $3 million, something like that. Okay. And Dorrance Armstrong got like $4 million. I mean, okay. And you basically lowball Tank Lawrence, and he basically playing for like $10 million or whatever. And you was going to like offer Bobby Wagner like $4 million. Really? So, the respect that you show to people that you're making your money off of, and the indifference that you show the people that make you the money, that they pay your salary, or pay, which is the paying customer, that you can just take, this particular retailer. It don't matter what we do, people are still going to come and give us their money. Cowboy fans, do not let them take you for granted. Okay, do not let them take you for granted. Okay, make them earn your allegiance. Okay, the first time they get beat by a team that did their stuff right, took the appropriate steps in the draft and the free agent process, and put players on the field to help them win, and they beat us 35-7. I want you to boo. You deserve to boo because you guys took us for granted. Okay, all right. All this money, but it's like we can roll anything out there. And with the moves that the Eagles and the Giants are making, it ain't even a given. We're gonna win the NFC East now. And you would think, shout out to my man T Gerald, my cousin that I went on, was on my first videos with me. He said something to me as we close. Dude, y'all was number 3 in y'all conference last year. Y'all went 12-5, and really the teams above y'all really gonna take steps back. You think y'all might want to like push all the chips in the center of the table, make some moves because y'all can get this. Okay, Rams had lost Von Miller, had OBJ. And then I can't remember what the left tackle's name is that played like 18 years, whatever. He's out, and Aaron Rodgers, all his receivers left. All they got is Randall Cobb. All these guys left. Devontae Adams gone. MVE is gone. He's from Kansas City now. Tampa Bay at the time, Tom Brady had retired. And a lot of the players, offensive line had left, and Chris Godwin is on ACL. Whatever. You think maybe like we can claim this? Nah, we'll just chill out because we know we worth $6 billion, and we knew AT&T Stadium gonna sell out, and our fans gonna buy our brand regardless of what we do. The arrogance and the smugness. Cowboy fans, y'all should be upset. Let's just see where the rest of this draft go, because we got day 2 and then day 3, and we'll see where we go. Maybe this thing don't hit the side of this mountain. Maybe this plane pulls out. Maybe we have a decent draft, and maybe we have a good year. But that's all I got, fam, from the desk of Uncle Fred. We'll be watching, and I want y'all to be watching. Don't let them take your allegiance and your fandom for granted. That's all I got, Uncle Fred. We out. We'll see you guys on the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe on the Uncle Fred Sports Network. We'll catch you in the next one.